Ola, it's good to have you. Tolu Lokpe, yeah, great to have you here today. Justina Olutu, yeah, good to have you here today. Today we're talking about real estate, and I can tell you this from my own personal experience. This is like the best, this is like the best investment that we should invest in. And the reason why I'm saying this, last week we talked about 60-30-10 rule or 70-20-10 rule. And the 70-20, if we choose 70-20-10, we, we're able to establish that when you want to invest, you need to look at where you need to invest. And we talked about low risk investments, medium risk investments, and high risk investments. And when we talked about low risk investments, the first one that we're able to establish or we're able to see is property. We know that it's a low risk investment with low return, short term, but it might actually become high return in the long term. And we talked about other investments, which I'm not going to talk about today. So today our focus is on buying a property. It depends on the stage you are. For some of us, we are first-time buyer. For some people, they are second-time, third-time, or fourth-time buyer. But I want to assure you today that no matter the position you are right now, you're going to benefit, in this presentation. And the first thing, we're going to ask a lot of questions. And the first question will be what? We're going to ask about why, and we're going to ask about how. And please feel free, if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat. I'm quite happy if you can stop me as well. If you have anything that is not clear to you, just raise your hand. I would be able to, give you the opportunity to ask the question. How to buy a house? For the whole of September, we are focusing on property. And we're going to talk about several strategies, but we need to establish how we can even start from the beginning. We have speakers that will be talking, that will be focusing on US property. And so it's holistic. It's something that you can actually benefit from. And I can also, let me also tell you this. For some of us, we join because we want to buy property in the UK. There are also opportunity in the US. Some people, they live in the UK, they are resident in the UK, and they are also tapping into property investment in the US. So despite the fact that we might be having our US property in 3 weeks' time, feel free to join because you can also benefit from that. How do I buy property? I'm focusing on UK property right now. So how do I buy property? And we're going to look at step by step. But, the first question you need to ask yourself, why do I want to buy a property? Why can't I rent property instead of buying? You would have heard people that would say that, oh, rent is better than buying property. Yes, to some extent, they might have, a good reason for saying that, depending on their taste, depending on their reasons, depending on their budget, and depending on their location. Some people will argue that renting in Nigeria is better than buying the property. That if you buy a property, before you could get the money back, it will take 20 to 30 years. I have a friend, he's a billionaire, and he's renting his own property. He rents in Abuja, but he has, warehouses that he bought himself. So it depends on your strategy. So from people in the US, a lot of them will argue that because I want to stay in New York, it's better for me to rent a property in New York than buying a property because I cannot afford it. But I rent in New York because my property is my work is close to New York, but I can actually invest in let's say Chicago. I can invest in other places that are cheaper. So it depends on your argument. But for me, I would say that buying a property is better. And I remember when I first came to this country, And I know that some of us might have heard it, or some of us may have the mindset or might have heard that before. When I first came to this country and we're talking about buying a property, getting a mortgage, this and that, the people that I met in those days, they were telling me that if you buy a property and you get into mortgage and you intend to go back to Nigeria, this and that, it will be difficult. It's like you are in a prison. You are this, you are that, because for you to pay off your mortgage, this and that. So they see mortgage as a bondage, as opposed to seeing it as a leverage to grow. And that is why this question comes into being. Why do I want to buy a property? The first one is this. I want to buy a property because I want to have a place to live. That is number one. The second one is this. I want to buy a property because I want to have an asset that is, appreciating in value. I know that everybody, we are in different stages, but please note this. And I'm not saying it to like bring anyone down because we all started that way. But this is it. I'm actually saying it to challenge us in order for us to start thinking and start having a specific goals. And that is the note. If you buy a property and you pay mortgage, the first one is that mortgage does not tie you down. If you choose to go back to Africa or anywhere you came you are from, if you choose to go back, if you have a property of £200,000 and your mortgage is £180,000, if you choose to go back to wherever you are from, you sell the property, pay the £180,000 mortgage, and take your 20,000 back home. So mortgage does not tie you down. And that is the first one. The second one is this. When when we are renting a property, which everybody started from, and most of us cannot run away from that. We started from it and everybody has a stage. But note, however, that when you are paying for your mortgage is actually you are buying a property worth of, let's say, 200K. You put down a deposit and bank loan you the rest. If you are paying the money back to the bank, if you're a first-time buyer, you are paying what we call repayment. So you are paying your capital, that is the money you borrowed, as well as interest. So when you pay bank, let's say £500 every month, out of that £500, bank is collecting, let's say, depending on your interest rate, bank is collecting like, say 20% or 30% or 40% of the loan you get from the bank. Then you are also paying interest. So in another, let's say 5-10 years, your loan would have gone down from 180,000 to like, let's say 160,000. But this is it. If you are renting, you are paying the rent and nothing is going down. Your loan is not going down because you are not getting any loan. The assets that you bought is not appreciating because you didn't buy any house. So if you buy a property, loan goes down, assets go up. Loan goes down, assets go on up. So that is why you need to set a goal today. Right now, I'm renting, but I want to have a specific goal because I have a strong why. And my why is very strong enough for me to set a specific goal. This is why I want to have a property. It's better for me to have it because it appreciates in value and I'm leveraging other people's money. It's better for me because I have an asset that is even most of the time cheaper than if I'm renting.
But you guys.
Okay, so I want to have a strong why, and I want to set a specific goal. And I want to challenge anyone in the house today that are yet to buy their property, maybe their first time property, or that are yet to buy their investment property, which is their second to third property. Write it down. Please, if possible, you can write it on your phone. You can write it on a paper. Set a specific goal. In June 2025, I am buying my property. June 2025, I am buying my property. See, when we talk about faith and we talk about mindset, the the first step is writing it down. If you can think it, you can achieve it. A lot of us think that it's just a motivational talk. We've done it before, and we've done it several times. And today, I want to strongly encourage us to be specific. Write the date, and by the grace of God, you will give testimonies today. The day. Write the date down, please. And another thing is this: write your location. Write it down, and this will work for you. Okay, let's jump to the second session. He said, what to consider to buy a property. If you have a specific goal, your why is strong. Why do I want to buy it? Then this will help you. The first thing I believe that we should always consider is buying where there are good schools. The reason is this. And we are still going to do some drawings, and please don't opt out of the call, because you are going to get a massive value, and we are going to be very practical. By the grace of God, I'm going to show us as a live session. I'm happy to show us my own experience. When you want to buy a property, the first thing, I think one of the things that you need to consider is good school. Number one, if you have children, you want them to go to good school. That's number one. Number two, when you buy property where there are good schools, it's more attractive. Most of the time, it appreciates in value faster. That's number two. When you want to move, maybe you want to upside, or you want to downside, or you want to move to another location, it's easier for you to get tenants when you buy property in a location that has good schools. Because the reason why a lot of people, I live in Kent, a lot of people, young, families are moving to Kent is because they have very good school. They have very good schools. They have what do we call it? Excellent schools, primary school, secondary school as well. They have lots of grammar schools, and that's why a lot of people are moving to Kent. A lot of people are in Dartford right now because of Dartford Grammar School. So it's very key for us to look for good schools anytime we want to buy property. Another one is close to train station. When you want to rent a property, we have a property that is most of our property are less than 1 mile to train station. We never struggle with rents, with tenants. If a tenant is going today, the other month, even as soon as the person is going, the another tenant will move in, because we understand how he works. The reason is this: a lot of people, don't have cars, and even people that have cars, they don't drive their cars, especially if you live in London or close to London. They don't drive their cars to London because of a lot of factors: congestion charge, ULEZ charge, traffic. So they prefer to opt on train. And that is why you want to, when you want to buy property, we should always look at a bigger picture. Let us think about the future, that when I want to move out of this property and I want to rent the property out, can it rent very fast? And these are the things that you need to consider. Close to the hospital, this is also very important. And the reason why it's important is that many of us, we want to have NHS tenants. The reason is this: we know that their job most likely are very 95% secured, and when you have NHS tenants, which I have experience, and is not an headache. When you have NHS tenants, you know that at least 99% assure that you get your rent. And so any property close to the hospital, in terms of rental value, you get it quickly. And in terms of property appreciation, you also appreciate in value quickly. The fourth one is optional, which is close to your work. And the reason why I said it's optional is this. If you get a property close to your work and it fits in your budget, all well and good. But if it doesn't fit in your budget, you need to also do some calculation. Look at how much it's going to cost you when you go to work. When we moved to Kent, we were living in Dartford, which is very close to my wife's workplace in Woolwich, and the transportation was quite cheap, but we had to move a bit further because we wanted to achieve a bigger property, because we actually started with a flat. But because we wanted to buy a house, so we had to move to like 20 minutes further away from Dartford. But before we could do that, we did some calculation. We looked at transportation. How much is it going to cost us? In the first year, it's going to cost us, like, let's say, extra £2,000. Look at how much it's going to cost me in 5 years or in 10 years. And look at the property value in Dartford. Let's say the property value in Dartford was, let's say, 350,000. The one in Northfleet is 250,000, £100,000 difference. If I look at the transportation, look at the stress. Does it really worth it? And those are the things that you need to look at. But this is very key. One of the reasons why a lot of people have not, entered property ladder is because they want a place very close to their workplace. And I have a question in one of the slide that talks about what can you compromise. There are times that you might not be able to get everything that you need, but what can you compromise in order to start? Because the best is to start. If you don't start, you cannot even leverage a lot of things. When you start, you see the opportunities. And I'm going to share, our own experience when at the appointed time. Look at this note. The note says that instead of buying the best house in a worst location, buy the worst house in the best location. I need to lay emphasis on this before we move. And the reason why I need to lay emphasis on this is this. I'm a YouTuber. I listen to a lot of Nigerians that just moved to this country. A lot of them right now, they will tell they are buying properties, and they show you, oh, they just bought this, they just bought that, this and that. But I don't know, maybe I should use the word unfortunately, or maybe that is what they know, and that is why you are here today. Before you take any decision, you need to think very deep. A lot of them are buying new built property. Well, it depends on also what you want to achieve. But the reason why this note is there is for us to be educated, and it's now up to us to take the decision. The best time you make profits, please note this, you make profits when you buy a house, not necessarily when you sell the house. You can as well make profit when you sell the house, but you make profit when you buy a house than when you sell the house. And this is it. When you want to buy any property, look for a property that you can get on discount. When you buy a new built property, unfortunately, you are not getting it on discount. You are paying for premium. So you pay for premium before it goes up in value. It takes time. It will go up in value, but it takes time to go up in value. It might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. It might take 15 years. And that is why you don't want to buy the best house in the worst location. I've heard a lot of people that will say that I just bought a new built property in Middlesbrough for £350,000. And I was like, why? I just bought a new built property for £350,000 in Northampton. Why? When you can buy a property close to London There is a property that we missed during this year. The property, we were about to buy it for £250,000. That is a 3-bedroom property in Dartford. The value of the property was 350K. So even if you are thinking of buying a 3-bed in Dartford, you can still get a property of 350,000 in Dartford. Dartford is 15 minutes close to London. Why will I go and buy 350 in Middlesbrough, 5-6 hours? Why not buy a property that is not good enough? Then do it your own taste. Change the kitchen, change the bedroom, force the value. And that is why this note says that instead of buying the best house in a worst location, buy the worst house in the best location. So if I buy a worst house in the best location, I can, spend money and put it to my taste, and it will increase in value, and it would be the same value of the good house in that same location. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to explain better with examples. Real estate finance. I know a lot of us, we struggle with, we don't know what to do in terms of finance. And the first thing I think we need to do is your budget. What is your budget? And for me, I always advise that not only me, a lot of scholars, a lot of professionals that are into property have said that don't wait to buy property. Buy property and wait. I'll say it again. Don't wait to buy property. Buy property and wait. And this will actually determine your budget. For a lot of us, because of where we are coming from, because of sometimes it might be, people that we are rolling with. Because of that, we want to start where we are supposed to stop. Let me use that word. And that is why a lot of us have not taken steps. If you want a 3-bed nice property in a nice area, maybe in London, in Mayfield, or in Chelsea, and you don't have the money right now, I will strongly advise you to compromise some stuff. Move a bit further. If your budget cannot get that kind of property, move a bit further. Start where you are. If you buy property and wait, as soon as you buy the property, the value keeps going up. But if you are saving the money to buy the property, the value of the property is going up, your money is going down due to inflation. The value of your money, let me use that word. The value of your money is going down. The value of the property is going up. That is why it's always good to start where you are. I'm going to give an example of how we did it. I know we've given this example several times, but I don't know, maybe it might also encourage someone in the house. When we wanted to buy our first property, I think in 2014, we were like, we tried as much as possible to save some amount of money, but we spoke to some people, and I always like to mention his name just to appreciate the information he was able to give out, and that is Dr. Niyi Sholademi. When we're talking about buying a property, he said that he also made this quote that you don't wait to buy a property, you buy property and wait. And we were looking for like a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house, but we didn't have the fund. We had £15,000. And all the property we were seeing, they were like 200,000, 220,000, 250,000, but we didn't know a lot. We didn't know more. we had a bit of information. We didn't have a lot of information that we are giving out right now. So we had like 15K, and this guy said, see, just start anyhow. So we saw a property. It was a flat. From my own experience, we don't want to buy a flat because we know that we're going to be paying ground rent, we're going to be paying service charge. But this guy advised us that just go for it. So we bought the house for 132,500. So we put a deposit of 10%, which is 13,250. We put it down. That was in 2014. And our mortgage was quite small. So we were paying like 500, I think 400 or 500 pound mortgage. In 2018, we started searching for property, another property, and we got the property that we are living in right now. So the property we're living in, we bought it for 225K in 2018. But our first property, we had to sell it. Note, we were paying back the money we borrowed as well as the interest, which was, when we bought our first property, the interest was quite high. We got interest of 4.49 or thereabout. But the interest dropped after 2 years to like 2 point something. Because we're paying back our capital as well, then we started selling on Amazon as well. So we're getting some money. So we paid some amount of money, just a bit of extra to reduce, our mortgage. When we sold the property, we sold it for 200,000 pounds. That was for 4 years. We bought the property for 132,500. We sold it for 200,000 pounds. Because we were paying back our loan, the loan has gone down to, I'm not sure exactly, I think 110,000 or 105,000. But it's not up to, I think 110,000 thereabout. When we sold the property, we were able to take 90,000 pounds. I'm not sure 90 or 90 something, but we're able to take at least, let's say minimum of 90. I can't remember exactly anymore. We're able to take like 90,000 pounds out to buy the property that we're living in right now. So, but because we didn't want to maybe buy another property, we would have used that to buy like 2 properties, but we put the money on 1 property just to save money, for at that particular time, because we're not knowledgeable enough. That's the concept. But what I'm trying to establish here is this. Instead of waiting to buy a property, start anyhow. There are some stuff that you can compromise. When we bought our property, we bought it in at least to some extent in a nice area, good schools, but we're able to compromise. Like, instead of house, we bought a flat, but we're able to have a lot of money. But imagine we're saving the money for 4 years in order to buy a higher property. Then, I think in 2018, the 3-bedroom property had even gone up because we sold our flat for 200K. Those 3-bedroom property house has gone up to like 300,000. So we wouldn't have saved that amount of money. We would have lost a lot of money. And that's why I say that it's better for you to start where you are. How do I raise deposits? I'm going to give us I like talking from experience. When we were looking for deposits, okay, my wife schooled here. I didn't school here. I schooled in Nigeria. So when she schooled here, and she was also working, and she was saving money, from student loan, this and that. And she was able to save quite a reasonable amount of money. And she was saying that maybe she should use that money to pay all the student loan. I said, no, student loan is not the best debt, as it is a bad debt, but the interest is very cheap. That instead of using that money to buy to pay your student, why not use it to buy property that will appreciate in value? So for young people in the house, when you get student loan, this and that, please don't spend it anyhow. If you have younger people in the house or you have your children, they can save money, even from their student loan and their work. A lot of them, when they start working, they start buying, start buying new cars and struggling to pay this and that. Why can't they use it to buy an asset? So one way to also raise deposit is you can use your student loan, all those extra monies, you can use it to raise deposits. That's number one. Another one that you can actually use to raise deposit definitely is your salary. So if you are earning salary, there's some money that you don't even consider that you are spending them. You spend, a lot of us, we spend money eating out. You can compromise some stuff. It's what we call delayed gratification. I choose not to eat out certain time, this and that. I want to raise money. I choose not to, pay for car park. I will try as much as possible to park very far and walk down. Is a good exercise. One of the ways to raise fund is all those, how do I call it? All those lose money can actually be something that can be of value to you. Another thing is this: if you trust your partner, and we also use this, if you trust your partner, you can do this. I've talked about this several times, and I also want to believe that we should even trust our partner. If you are married, you should trust your partner, but everybody has their own level. If you trust your partner, you can use one of your name to buy property. So for example, if I'm earning money, my partner is earning money, I can get credit card. I can get credit card, maybe let's say 20,000, 30,000 worth of credit card. And all my partner's income, as well as some of my income, some, not all, because I'll be using some to also service my credits. All my partner's income and some of my income will be going to savings in order for us to use it for deposits. So to bank, I look bad, but to bank, my partners look good. So when we want to get mortgage, we've been able to raise funds through my credit card, but I'm not in the movie. They don't see me at all. But I've been able to raise funds for my partner. So my partner looks good on paper. I don't look good on paper, but I don't appear to them because I'm not getting mortgage. So my partner is getting mortgage in his own name or our own name. After buying the property, you can add your name to it later. There are several ways to do it. We've done this before and it has worked for us. So you can use credit card to play around. The reason why I'm saying this is this. For some of us, we think that, okay, we can put credit card together, use it to raise our deposits. If you are raising deposit, both of you are raising deposit, and you also owe money, bank don't see you as a good person. So you also need to, and if you have credit, you need to reduce it to, let's say, 20 to 30%, and also depending on what you have credit on. So if you trust your partner, you can make your partner look good, raise deposit with your partner, use your partner's name to buy property, and you might look bad. And it doesn't matter because you can always join. I'm not sure. Maybe you have any question. I think I'm seeing some. I don't know. Maybe you have any question before we jump to the other side. Okay, let's keep going. So how to get mortgage? You can go to your bank. You can go to your bank, let them see. They will look at your statement. They will look at your credit score. And I also advise that you should find a way to build your credits. For some of us, we run away from getting credit card, this and that. Please find a way to build your credit, but please, you have to be disciplined. So how to get mortgage? There are several ways to get mortgage. You can go to your bank and get mortgage. You can go to a mortgage advisor, and they will look at the whole market and tell you the best mortgage you can get. For me, I strongly advise that people should go to a mortgage advisor. So they are called a broker. So what they do is that they look at the whole market and tell you which one would suit you. which one would you will be able to, which one would be good for you, and you'll be able to get mortgage swiftly, and you will get, the best interest as well. So they will advise you on that. So for me, I always encourage that we should get a broker that will help you instead of going to your bank and you don't have option. The second one is bridging finance. Bridging finance applies especially to people that want to buy a second property. The bridging finance is like silent. I didn't hear bridging finance until, let's say, 2019 or thereabout. So a lot of people they don't talk about bridging finance. And this is what bridging finance does. A lot of people that buy property on auction, they use bridging finance. So they go to auction. For auction, you need to close in 28 days or 56 days, depending on the kind of option. And you can't get mortgage in 2 months or in 3 months because they had to do a lot of verification. But if you want to buy property on auction, you need bridging finance. So for bridging finance, there are a lot of people that offer bridging finance. I have one, they call them landlord. So for landlord, they can give you bridging finance within 5 days or even 10 days. So you get the money, you use it to buy auction property, do it to your own taste. In 6 months to 1 year, 6 months, minimum of 6 months, you can put it on mortgage and you will be able to get at least a good amount of money. Note, what can I compromise to achieve my goal? And these are the things that I've established, that these are a lot of things can be compromised in order to achieve your goal. There are some stuff that you cannot compromise. So it depends on where you are. Do we have any question before we start, the practical session? Anyone in the house? Okay, let me just be sure. Maybe are we still together? Are we getting value?
Yes.
Okay, if you are getting value, please you can give me a thumbs up. At least just encourage me. Let me know if you are getting value.
Definitely getting value. I'm here.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for
Getting serious value. I'm here.
Okay. All right. This is where we are going. So the first thing, we've established why I need to get property. We've established that how I can get property. We've established things that we can compromise. We've established how we can raise finance. And the other thing that I think we need to talk about is how we can build our portfolio. And I'm going to do some drawings today. And we have to go back to our slide. So for example, if I'm shopping for property, and I believe everybody knows where to shop for property. We have Zoopla, we have Rightmove, we have, if you are doing auction, we have Auction House, we have I Am Sold, we have On the Market, we have a lot of platforms that you can shop for property. So we have a lot of them. So if you are shopping for property, and this is one of the reasons why we established that if you can buy property that you can add value to, you get discount. And the reason why you want to get discount is because a lot of us, we don't want to just buy one property and stay there forever. We want to build portfolio. So how do I build portfolio? And this is it. My first property is always the hardest. I generate 10%. So the property is marketed for £100,000. £100,000. Okay. But I noticed that this property is not very attractive because the kitchen is not good enough. And I know that my wife might not like it, and a lot of wives will not like it because the kitchen is too old. That is why the property is not going, off the market very quickly. But because I've joined Village Square, I've heard, Pastor Lusode, I've heard other people that have advised me that one of the best way to build portfolio is to go for discount. Because I've heard that, I know that A lot of people are not interested in this. And also note this. Warren Buffett says that be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful where others are greedy. When everybody is rushing for something, you know that the price will go up. So because this property is not good, the kitchen is not good, the bedroom is terrible. These are the property I am looking for because I have what we call negotiating power. So for this property, I would speak to the person, and possibly if I can get this property for 80,000, don't mind my writing, 80K. I've been able to get like 20,000 pound profit or discount already. Now I will stop my screen, then we'll jump to some calculator here. Okay, let's do this. In the UK, averagely, property double in value every 10 years. And for some of us, we know what we call 72, the rule of 72. So that means if something double every 10 years, that means it has a return of 7%. And this is compound, because for some of us, you might be thinking that if something is bringing 7% return, that means in 10 years it will be 70%. No, because it's compound interest. If you have something that is giving you 7% return on investment, in 10 years it will double. If you have anything giving you 10% on return on investment, in 7 years it will double, and that is the rule of 72. So you can see it here. And let's do the compound interest. Let's go to compound interest calculator. So for example, if I have a property worth of 100,000, and note, however, that in our drawing, the property value is actually 100,000 pounds, but we've been able to negotiate it and get it for 80,000 pounds. So, but the value is still 100,000. So if we were able to get it for 100,000, we got it for 80,000, but the value is 100,000. So if the value is 100,000 pounds, and we understand that we've established that in the UK we get 70% return, which is in 10 years your property double. Sometimes it can be 65% depending on where you bought the property. So I understand that in 3 years my property would have valued 123,292. That is the value of my property. It has accumulated 23,292 interest. Let's now go to our slide again. So we now, if we go to our slide, this is how we buy our second property. Let's jump to our slide. Okay, here's my slide. Okay, this is my slide. Please, you need to follow this. In 3 years' time, this property is valued how much? 123,292. Let's say 292. Please follow me. 123,292. I want to know if you are following me. This property, we bought it for how much? 80,000. We put down 10% deposit, which is 8,000 pounds. We borrowed 72,000. 72,000, sorry, 8,000. We borrowed 72,000 pounds. Right? The value of the property right now is 123,295. We have the ability to go back to bank or any bank or to our broker that, see, look for a bank for me. I want to take money out from my 100 from my first property, which actually was 123,292. And this is what bank will do for you. The bank will come, they will value the property. If it's worth that amount of money, bank is happy to give you 80% or 75%. They are happy to borrow you 80 or let's say 75. Let's just stand on 75%. They are happy to borrow you 75% of your current value. So bank will borrow you 123,000, 75% of 123,000. Please follow me. Bank will borrow you 75% of 123,000. Can anybody help me with 75% of 123,000? Anyone in the house? So bank will borrow me 123,292 times 0.75. Bank can borrow me 92,000 pounds. This is where a lot of people get confused. So if you follow, you will understand. Bank can borrow me 92,465. Can anybody remind me how much we were owing before? 72,000. 72,000. Therefore, bank will borrow me, my current mortgage will now be 92,462. My initial mortgage was 72,000 pounds. Then we'll minus this. So that will be 22,467. Now I owe 92,000 on this, but this 22,000, I can use it as my deposit for my second property. So if I see same property of 80,000, I only need the note this. When you are buying your second property, you are not putting down 10% anymore. You can put down 20%, but the interest rates will be high. But if you put down 25%, you will get a good interest rate. So let's say 25% of 80,000 is 20,000. And right now you have 22,000 pounds. So you use 20,000 as your deposit and borrowed another 72,000 to buy your second property. I will pause here. I don't know, maybe we understand or we have any question. Is it clear? Okay. We are good. Is it clear, please? Hello? Okay, good.
Yep, yeah, you.
All right. So if you are building a portfolio, this is how to build your portfolio. So what happened is this: in 3 years' time, this one gave birth to this. This one is value 123,292. This one is valued 100,000 because I got it on discount again. Right. In 6 years' time, we use the same rule. This one would have gone up in value again. This one would have gone up in value again for 123. I don't want to bore us with the calculation, but let's say this one would have gone up to 150. I take money out again, use the same concept. I can even take money out from the two, give back to another property. And that is how we can build our portfolio. You know, yesterday someone talked about seed, time, and harvest. You sow a seed here, you wait for the time, then you start harvesting with rental income. So you start harvesting with rental income. There's one thing that I need to mention before I give opportunity for question, contribution, or close for today. When you borrow more from your first property, your mortgage will go up. So this is it. Initially, I borrowed, let's see. Initially, I bought the property for 80,000. I put a deposit of 10%. I borrowed 72,000. Let's say my annual interest is 4%. Initially, I was paying 381 on my mortgage. When I borrowed 92,000, how much is that? Let me see one more time. When I borrowed 92,469, because I borrowed more. When I borrowed 92,469, 92,469, my mortgage will go up. How much is that? 100,000, £100 more. Let's see. 70, when I borrowed 72. Okay, my mortgage will go up, let's say £100. But this is it. Your second property, you are renting it out. Let's say for £600. Your second property, you are paying what we call interest only, not repayment. So let's say you rent it out for £600. Your interest only mortgage is £200. You have extra £400. Out of that extra £400, you remove £100 to pay your extra £100 that has gone up on your mortgage here. You have what we call cash flow of how much? £300 every month. This one gave back to this without adding extra money. And when you now have like 10, giving you, let's say, £300 every month, every year, the professional landlord increase their rent 5% yearly. And if I'm increasing my rent 5% yearly, my mortgage does not go up, but my rent go up. Before I close, I'll just show you an example of, okay, let me give us an opportunity to ask question, and that question will lure me whether or not to open up and see the example from my own experience. Okay, I think I have some question here. Someone says that do you look for property first before you seek for mortgage? It depends. For some of us, we want to know our status. We want to know whether or not we can get mortgage. So for some of us, we go to get mortgage first. For some people, because they start looking for property, it helps them, it encourages them to seek a professional. So it depends on what you actually want. So for me, I think I will call a broker, know my status. The broker will tell me, the kind of property, what I should be looking for in terms of how much, because he knows how much I can get on mortgage, So for me, I may want to go for that. But for some people, as soon as they see property, they know that the finance will come out. So it depends on you. Do I need to have cleared my mortgage before taking out money to get another property? No. And that's what we call leverage. You don't need to clear your whole mortgage. But this is it, because I think that question is a bit tricky. When you buy a property today and you see that your property has appreciated in value, you can speak to the same mortgage institution. So for example, if you are using Barclays, you can speak to Barclays. Barclays, my property has gone up in value. Come and do evaluation for my property, and I want to take certain money out from my property. So if Barclays comes and they see that your property is now, you bought it for, let's say, 50,000, is now worth £100,000. What Barclays will do is this: they can borrow you 75%, which is £75,000. And if you are still owing, let's say, £40,000, the current mortgage, we pay the initial mortgage and you will get extra. So if your initial mortgage is 40, your new mortgage is 75. The current mortgage, you pay 40,000 and you will have extra 35,000 pounds. So you've cleared your initial mortgage, but you don't need to wait for 25 years. You can clear your initial mortgage in 3 years, in 2 years, in 5 years, and get a new mortgage. And that is, I believe I've answered that question. But if it's not clear, please feel free to unmute yourself.